More than a bunch of years ago, my wife and I received a small handful of Bitcoin as part of some promotion. And like many during that time, we thought it was fake and useless. And now we can't find the documentation. And the price is currently at something like $46,000. Well, the new Netflix documentary, Trust No One, The Hunt for the Crypto King, takes a look at people that did see value in Bitcoin and invested it, only to have it disappear. In the paranoid world of cryptocurrency, there's only one rule: trust no one. So when Gerry Cotten, the CEO of Canada's largest cryptocurrency exchange, dies in mysterious circumstances, he takes the password to $250 million worth of customers' funds to the grave. This documentary plays out part mystery and then part conspiracy theory. And one great thing about this documentary is that it's a 90-minute movie and not a drawn-out series, as so many documentaries have been recently. The narrative follows this young and charismatic guy named Gerry Cotten, who created a cryptocurrency exchange in Canada, and it just had reduced fees and any bell or whistle that was appealing to a crypto investor. Gerry gave high-level presentations and then media interviews, which only propelled the popularity of his investing website exchange even higher. But then when the crypto market began to falter and the price was drastically dropping, now obviously investors, they just wanted to cash out as quickly as possible. And that's when they encountered a ton of issues. Cash outs were taking inordinately long amounts of time, and then amidst all the chaos, Gerry Cotten dies and apparently is the only person that has the Bitcoin wallet password for all of the investors' funds, meaning that all of that money is now unavailable. The documentary interviews some of the investors, allowing them to tell their story with both the highs and the lows, and then what they did to try and get their money back. The filmmakers effectively show how their lives have been transformed. Going from super rich to nearly destitute. And this then fuels their drive to find out what happened and recover their money. And the mystery angle comes into play because when Gerry dies, no one really believes it. It seems like the perfect out, just to take the money and run. So then we get internet sleuths who do their best to uncover the truth. While there are a couple of interviews with the sleuths, the ones that held the most weight for me, and I found to be the most informative, were the interviews with a forensic accountant, some hackers, and then some investigative journalists. These people were able to do more than speculate about what really went on and where the money could have gone. The forensic accountant is very convincing, as he's just interested in the numbers and how or where they lead. And he's also an engaging speaker, even if he's not on the screen for a massive amount of time. The journalists also provide some great narration to the overall story. There are a couple that are involved, and they approach the story from different angles, which then also helps to give a better perspective to all of it. And one in particular does some traveling for the story, and I found his piece to be very intriguing. I like that at points we can also see the doubt that's in his eyes as to the info that he's uncovering, but then he's able to solidify his findings in a pretty concrete way so that he, and then we, can be satisfied. When pieced all together, we get a good narrative of who Gerry is, or was perhaps, and how he was able to build out his investment site. There's a lot of background and establishing information that's provided as the story goes along, playing out like a really good thriller. The story starts with the hook and then introduces us to a few characters to get us invested in their stories, and then it builds out the foundation for what happened. And after the intrigue had been set, the narrative goes back and fills in all of the details in almost a chronological way to produce a well-rounded and convincing story. This is then supported by interview footage and media archives of Gerry himself, along with the news stories that the journalists are compiling. Now sure, we also get a lot of speculation that's included as the story progresses, but the documentary does a good job of answering and then uncovering the facts to as much of the mystery as possible. I love how the documentary also addresses conspiracy theorists, and there's a logical argument made that I think most people could get behind in this. Now from a production standpoint, this is effectively put together and I think it looks great. The pacing is tight and even has this small urgency to it, making for an exciting watch. Now I found myself really sucked into the overall story. I was less engaged with some of the individual personal stories, but I appreciated how they are necessary and they all work together to complete the larger account. The interview footage is really well done, and it looks great. It's intimate but professional. It's keeping the filmmakers, and then us, at a distance to be engaged, but not familiar that would break any kind of credibility. I really like that this has a resolution to it also, and as much as possible. And the mystery is addressed and then it's answered with convincing arguments and data. Now sure, there will be still speculation from, some people, but if you're looking for a documentary that doesn't just leave you hanging as to what happens, this does a good job of accomplishing that. Overall, Trust No One, The Hunt for the Crypto King is an engaging documentary that's filled with mystery and intrigue with then plenty of research to back up the conclusions. The story is told in a concise way to not waste time, but also provide enough detail to make convincing arguments. The production looks wonderful, creating a documentary movie that can captivate, entertain, and hold your attention for its quick 90 minutes. There's no sex, nudity, or violence, but there is a lot of profanity. I really enjoyed this documentary, and I highly recommend you check out Trust No One: The Hunt for the Crypto King on Netflix. So do you invest in cryptocurrency? I am still trying to find my documentation for our Bitcoin, and man, if we find it, I am certainly cashing out. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.